Yes, Sean, I'm here, and I've just turned my camera on. So I'm talking to Sean Maguire in Ireland, and that is a picture on the screen of the Queen of England, her cousin Adolf Hitler, and the people that the Bush family were trading with throughout World War II, and that is the Tysons of Germany. Massive steel and munitions magnets. Sorry, let me shut the window. The grass cutting team are obligated to come every time I make a video. So that's
radio, hey, where would you get it?
So that's Sean up in the top right, and ironically he is wearing the Iron Cross on his chest. And our mutual friend has died in the last fortnight, and his name is Peter Eyre. I will be eternally grateful to that man, because he's the person that introduced me to the Bush family scam. Let me show you that on my screen now as a statement. There it is. So can I get rid of your picture, Sean? I hope I didn't turn it off.
And of course, I mean, the people listening on Healing Oracle Radio can't actually see the pictures.
Okay. Oh shit, it's popped up in the bottom now. How the hell...
You can minimise it and just put it down the bottom.
Okay, so there is a picture that says George Bush Senior in brackets, his pseudonym or his nickname or his alias below his mugshot for this video is the Fourth Reich in the USA, the deathbed confessions, photos support claims that George H. Scherf Jr. was the 41st US President. And this is published by a man in the Idaho Observer who's called Don Nikolov. And all of this news is being obfuscated by the world's news agencies. God bless some of them. Have you already seen the video that has been banned overnight, Sean?
The one that you posted on my Facebook page.
With
yes.
Jimmy Hill and all the buffoonery of who jokes about the war, he jokes about being Hitler, training in London, all of the stuff that they have now taken down. So I made an archive video of the comedy of him talking to Jimmy Hill and another football commentator on the radio, with Harry Enfield chipping in saying, "You don't want to do that." And because I made a video that lasts nearly 30 minutes on that simple thing, and that I included that, the BBC in England, yeah, that is the slaves to the Austrian nobility that run the government, and I've profiled that for ages and ages and ages, and there they are on the screen now. That is Von Rompuy, that is Bloomberg in America, that is Bradley Freed at the Bank of England, that is Rudolf Hess, and the armies that were actually fighting for Bush and Tyson. Yeah, trading with the enemy right through the war, and the trading also includes Bill Clinton's parentage, and that is the Harriman family, and that is the siring of Bill Clinton's mother, and Bill Clinton's dad is also the first cousin of Hitler through the Rothschild scams in Queen Victoria's bedroom. So do you get the drift of it?
I do. Who blocked the video, George? Was it the BBC or YouTube?
YouTube blocked the video, but BBC have made the claim, but YouTube have refused to publish it, even although there's a massively long introduction before Harry Enfield and the buffoonish comedy appears. Let me see if I can... Oh,
it's
no.
a very political piece, isn't it?
Yeah, so there's the comment. So the content is the play match that depicts the BBC movie. Sorry, there's grass cutters on both sides of the house. Yeah, that is the disloyal Freemasons in this country that are prepared to continue to dismember it for their beer money. Yeah, that's the play match. The claimant that this video should not be allowed out is the BBC worldwide, and that is policy blocked in all countries, and I will have the capacity to file a dispute, and little do they know that that will be for war crimes complicity.
Ah, brilliant.
Yeah, so it's like your lives are in danger for all the president's men, but all of the presidents since the war are Nazis. Yeah, and let me now show you the picture of them. And it was Peter Eyre that told me all of this stuff. Peter Eyre is a investigative journalist, and he referred me to these photos that I'm now going to show my audience, and that is the deathbed confessions of Hitler's assassin, who was called Scorzerny, and he made those deathbed confessions looking like a skeleton and a victim of the death camps, because he was just about to take his last breath when he made the confessions. And all of those portraits and pictures of the Bush family with Martin Bormann and Joseph Mengele in Germany before they shipped out in 1937, their name is Scherf, and the family bloodline is absolutely sordid, because everybody that is a profiteer in the wartime and is a double agent, that is the Bertie Wooster families. Yeah, that's the Robertian lineage that I was describing in the video that got blocked because of Harry Enfield's comedies being a higher priority for the BBC. That is the false newsmen. Let me show you a picture of the false news that was the thumbnail for that video that they have banned.
So George, Scherf is the Bush family name?
Yeah, S-C-H-E-R-F.
Okay.
And the article that I'm now citing, although I've not looked at this one before, the whole of America and large tracts of Europe know the joke, and that is all it is for them. It's a profiteering, policy-making plan of one of the aristocratic families. You should see the folk that are related to them. Yeah, and the folk that are on Alois Scherf's family tree are all European fascist families, and that includes Tyson, and that becomes, have you heard of Dyson, the inventor of the Hoovers?
Yes.
So he's in the books written by Naomi Klein about the world's most influential people, and he's a relative of Tyson, who is on the Little Sis website as trading with the enemies in America, and that is the Bush family that became the president. Yeah, that's the 41st US president, and then his son takes us into Iraq.
And you say every president after that, so that includes Obama and Trump?
No, Obama's story is different.
Right.
And I've published several videos on him. He's actually goes back into the ancient Numidian gladiators, and that is the story of the Numidian slave in the Gladiator movie. He's the Obama bloodline, but his real name is Suetonius, and that's in the Christian Bible, and he is a papal bloodline too, and they were the newsmen for the Roman Empire all over the world. And it was Field McConnell that told me about him going to the same school as Kermit Rockefeller and all the billionaires in America, and Field McConnell went there, and his name there was Barry Soetoro, and he was born and raised as not an American citizen on Hawaii, and that is Pearl Harbor and the launch of the war and the ending of it in Japan. And you should see the weather patterns in Japan at the moment. Yeah, that's the pagan nation that joined America in the war, and it's just absolutely massive.
They're having dreadful floods in Japan at the moment.
Yeah, that's right, and I told you in the last video that I believe that all of those are acts of God, and that's why the Bushes live in Vesuvius, in Maine, in America, because they're physical cowards, and they let all of Hitler's assassins do their killing. Did I mention Mengele and all the mind control people? And all of them are in the same Tavistock syndicate with Rothschild, Arnstein, and all the videos I've been making on the Austrian nobility. Let me just show you a quick page on the Austrian nobility other than that one, because they have now, since I started to tell the story about Theresa May being von Brazier and von Rumpler being von Rompuy and Selecki, the head of Interpol, being von Selecki of Austria, same for the Duke of Wellington and same for Rothschilds. They are all von Austria, and all of them have massive mansions all over the world, and that is the repetition of the diaspora to the promised land in the King David stories. And that's why George Bush's family believe that they are the chosen ones, because that's why they're in the museum film, and their Obadiah and their Jedediah, and all of it is King David and Solomon's Temple, and that's the launch of the global Freemasons. And you and me might get buried in cement in the cornerstone for non-compliance with the war crimes.
Yeah, that video is going to shock the BBC, because they're having a go at you for, I suppose, copyright, using how the
Yeah, but they are the propagandists. So forget who the current BBC boss took over from Lord Patton, and there was a massive ruckus about the intermediary person's salary. Now Gary Lineker is one of the biggest earning correspondents, since I revealed him as a fascist, who drinks in the fascist clubs that were used by the fascists in England, that are Bertie Wooster and his mates on both sides of the Atlantic. And on the list of the people that were picked in the bloodline, you have the legendary horror filmmaker that is, what's it, Hitchcock?
Alfred Hitchcock.
Yeah, and that is Rabbi Hitchcock in the Chosen One bloodlines in the Frankfurt ghetto, which is where all of the people in Palm Beach and Donald's golf courses came from originally. And Bill Gates is a war criminal. He's Gottsheim. He's also in the Alois Scherf bloodline, so he's a cousin of Bush, the world's richest people. If you look at the pictures of the Bush family on some of the videos that might get through the mind control centres and the BBC inquests, yeah, I'm quite keen to have inquests on what gets published and why, and all the videos on Donald Trump's war crimes that have been banned globally too, without any views. Yeah, it's absolutely massive. And even my trivial videos on the killing of Holofernes murdered in the Bible, I can't remember the name of the character that she murdered, but that is the Jewish armies, and all of that is in the Christian Bible, and those videos have been banned. I cannot even play them now in my own house, because my backup disc was stolen in the house that was sold to a Blair. From a Blair it came to me, and it went to Rutter, which is the joke that the Freemasons that purchased my house are also the Austrian nobility von Rutter. Yeah, and they're from Melrose, and it's all fascist. Everybody that is in the New World Order syndicate and owns the whole world and all the federal banks, they are busy bees from Rome, and that is the Flavian Piso dynasties that were launched with Vespasian, Titus, and all of that becomes false news in religion and Antarctica, and the cutting off of his Piso toes. He probably ended his life in the Caribbean, where Richard Branson and the whole lot of the bastards now party with the Royals, the Murdochs, and all the usual suspects.
It really baffles me, George. I mean, you know, in a way, we're all related. So, in a way, you could find a bloodline from anyone to lead back to.
But if you believe what the Bible author wrote, he is the Father God, and he is the first Bishop of Rome, and he is the Pope that is Higgins, your president, yeah, and on it goes. If you watch the video Jessie by Madonna, we dare not put a picture up or it will be blocked. Every one of those characters are the pseudonyms for, and that is, Jessie is the little girl in the bed cuddling all the teddy bears, and all of it becomes the Warner Brothers output under Menagerie. And it was Ali G that revealed all those stories. Yeah, he said Barbara Bush is much more dangerous than George W. Bush. And when I looked up Hanna-Barbera, it is all the Muppet Show for every character and every animal that represents the Piso family joke, and his nicknames, and all of that is the meaning of life for all of the world's billionaires. It's absolutely incredible.
Cartoons, you mean, George?
Pardon?
Do you mean the Hanna-Barbera cartoons, like Yogi Bear and the Cookery Hound?
No, there's a video called Jessie by Madonna.
Okay.
And that is the same, that's Jessius Florus, is the nickname for Arius Calpurnius Piso, whose favourite nickname was Flavius Josephus, and that is the Flavian dynasty in ancient Rome. He was not even born as the claimant to the title Jesus Christ, one of his nicknames, and the Father God. He was not even born in the year dot. He was born around 33 to 34, and he died aged 80 something. Fabulous long life in his bed, like the American presidents. Yeah, and all of it is just a massive for-profit operation. So the the banks that were involved are all profiled in those videos, like the one. I can give you the details, or when I put my video online. Yeah, sometimes that is pathetic though, isn't it? You can see the corner that I'm now in. You spend all your time exposing all of the stuff, and Peter Eyre was the man that originally showed me those pictures. Let me take you, oh shoot, let me take you a little bit further down that page and see what else. No, I'll just do it from my website, my OneNote profile. So there's a picture now of Fritz Tyson trading with the enemy, and Greg Hallett's book is right next to the portrait or the photo of that man, How to Take Over the World, a Right Royal Con. Now, Hallett revealed a lot of the stuff about the Shin and how that was launched into the world by the French and the Freemasons in Western Europe, and that is the brutalisation of Scotland in the Jacobite Wars.
Right. Can you explain the Shin to us?
So the Shin is the plot to take over the world, and that's the title of Greg Hallett's book. And in the next page, it says, with the same picture, it says, out of print, limited availability, and Greg Hallett is no longer with us. But his body double was in the pub the other night, like all of the relatives of Alois Hitler, who's a Rothschild. But because of the propaganda, they've now got the claim that the English Rothschild in the Five Arrows team, or the first one who became the politician, he is supposedly the parent of Hitler in some of the stories, and then he goes to Ireland and he becomes Patrick Hitler, and the stories about the propagandists that are the cousins. Let me read you some statements from another part of my.
Okay, just before you do, Greg Hallett was on. He's got a Facebook page and he's claiming to be alive and well and everything.
Yeah, he had a Facebook page for a year and a half before he showed up again, and he claimed that he was a schoolboy in Kelso, just to obfuscate it. Yeah, I don't know. He knows the joke about the Woosters, because in his videos he makes with Jim Fetzer, they sit and they go to wit to woo, and all of it is massive. So there's the
Well, I've invited him onto the show, and he says he doesn't want to come on, so anyway.
Oh yeah, well that's not the real one. He can talk anybody's hind legs off. But here's now the Irish Hitler, William Patrick Hitler. This will entertain your audience.
Yes.
William Willie Hitler, later Stuart Houston, was the nephew of Adolf Hitler, born to Adolf's half-brother Alois Hitler and his first wife Bridget Dowling. Now the Dowlings have one of the most fabulous family trees in world history, and the Queen's on it. Yeah, that's the cousin of Adolf. Stuart Houston, yeah, won the Iron Cross, which looks like the jersey you're wearing, and it looks like the Victoria Cross, because all of them are cousins. Yeah, and Queen Victoria is the grandmother of Kaiser Wilhelm, and he's a bastard too, because of the Rothschild influence. He is Kaiser Rothschild, and all of them, the Hohenzollerns, were trained in the La Rosey school in Switzerland with Al-Fayed, Bin Laden, and all of those guys that are the heads of Interpol, and the massive Arnstein families and the Austrian nobility. And what I've done by publishing the Austrian nobility's mugshots is that it means that you can no longer, in a scholarly way, plough through the names of all the families. You remember, it's von Puppy, it's von Springsteen and all the stuff. Yeah, there are hundreds and hundreds of noble names, including Del Boy Rutter. Yeah, all of it is a massive mistake.
And what did Hitler or Houston do when he came to Ireland?
Listen to this. Born to Adolf's half-brother Alois Hitler Jr. and his first wife Bridget Dowling, William later moved to Germany and subsequently escaped, eventually going to the United States to be led by the Nazis that are the Bushes. William Patrick Hitler was born in Liverpool, the son of Alois, and let me now just read Stuart Houston's profile on Wikipedia. He won the Iron Cross. He was the Lord Haw Haw equivalent in World War I, and he is the nephew of Adolf Hitler. And there's the picture, and let me just read and show my audience the Nazi symbols that are on the Bush pages in this story too. Houston Stuart Chamberlain, born South Sea, United Kingdom, died Beirut, Bavaria, Master Race, Germany, and his spouse is Anna Horst. That's for you, Sean. Hello? Yeah, they're not keen to let it be told.
There you go.
Yeah, do you see how they need to trade with the enemy, and all the people of England and Scotland, they know about the Shin. All of that is an open secret, and that is the know-nothings.
Okay, but you do know that we dropped the call, don't you?
What does that mean?
We dropped the call, the Skype call dropped, so we missed a bit of what you were saying.
Oh, I didn't say anything more, it just shut me down.
Oh, okay, that's grand.
That's
fine.
Houston Stuart Chamberlain, born in South Sea, Hampshire, United Kingdom, opposite the Isle of Wight, where Marcus Manuel was the only legitimate son of Queen Victoria, and he was murdered eventually by Edward VII, who was murdered by God within 5 weeks of his assassination. Yeah, and this one died, Houston Stuart Chamberlain, yeah, close cousin, nephew of Hitler Rothschild, died in Beirut, Bavaria, Germany. His spouse was Anna Horst, and that is the horse that is the Piso icon, and his second wife who died in 1927, was Eva von Bülow Wagner. So he's the equivalent of Lord Haw in World War II, and that is the Joycey that is part of the BBC's Fake Up, and that is the Joycey that was for a time fighting in the House of Commons bar, and he went to Iraq with Tony Blair and all those army leaders, and that is George Bush's decision with Tony Blair to take us all to war in the Holy Lands, in the name of God again, and all of it is laughed at by Bruce Forsyth with the Habsburg chin, because he, on every Saturday night, he says, "Nice to see you nice, weapons of mass destruction." That's the Habsburg chin that is the icon for all of those Austrian emperors, and I've got pictures of them, and I think they might be on the back end of that story. So this man, I was quite stunned. So let me just show you some of the pictures of him. And there he is, Chamberlain in 1886, champion of Wagnerism, and that is the Valkyrie myths and the killing of all of the gods in the Shin. That is the battle at Culloden.
Right.
And that's Odin, the god in Norway. And Thor becomes the Thornbirds, and all of it is a piss take against their creators, which is really dangerous.
Why are they doing this? I mean, surely they knew that someday it'd bite them on the arse.
Well, it's made them the world's billionaires, and it's made their little brother the Archbishop or the Cardinal or the Archduke. And on it goes, and Donald's married into Islam so that he can demonise it, and he can shag the world's most beautiful women, and all of them are just in that syndicate with Tony Blair, who made the decision with George Sherf to go into Iraq. And all they want to do is to steal the narcotics wealth and to steal the federal banks, and they now own every one on the world. Hannah Mary, Nathan Jr. and Lord Yakub of Vienna, and Emperor of Israel. It is absolutely pathetic. It's the same families right through world history, and for the launch of the Shin and the banking groups into America, I would need to be looking at one of the appropriate pages, but this one became was a British-born German philosopher who wrote works about political philosophy and natural science, described by Bidis, and it's Eva von Bülow was his wife, the daughter of the composer Richard Wagner. And that is the occultists that allow the Grimm brothers to run the wars by demonization in the ancient myths. And the Grimm brothers were from Göttingen, which was immune from bombing throughout World War II, and that has been allowed to be taken off YouTube for at least 3 years now without one word being spoken. And all of the images of the greatest universities that were in that syndicate that were perfectly safe because they provide the prime ministers, the Monty Python's teams and the chancellors in Germany. That's why they get immunity from bombing, and the rocket scientists move to Bush's United States, and it's been Bush's United States since 1937.
Wow.
Perfectly safe from any form of danger, and it's openly published that Tyson is trading with them, and that is the enemy in Germany, and that is the links to Bill Clinton's mum's parents, and they are Averell Harriman, and for a laugh, that is her father. Averell is a man.
You say that Barbara Bush is more dangerous than George Bush. What about Hillary and...
Well, they're all in the same families. You see, I've published that for years now. Donald and Hillary, all of it was published in the Daily Mail. They're all descended from John of Gaunt, and that includes the Rothschilds on Hillary's side, and it includes all the Porridge comedies and the Mackays of Scotland, and the lineage for Donald on the right hand side. And Bonnie Prince Charlie, who launched the Shin, is in the tree.
Yeah. So there, also you seem to be hinting in well, more than hinting in the last few interviews that we've done, that, you know, if you become famous, if you become really, really globally famous, then you're connected in some way.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt at all about it. Yeah, you know how I reeled off in those videos for you and Jim Fetzer, how all the families... So Barbara Pierce, George W.'s mother, married to Herbert Poppia of ancient Rome, Bush. Yet she is a Percy of Alnwick. That is the Alnwick Castle and the launch of the Armstrongs of Craigie that invented the machine guns, and that is the massive landowners that live right next to Percy, and all of it, you know, Percy's wife is Lady Jane Richards. Every time I put her in a corner, they persecute Cliff Richards, and this week they have allowed him to walk free out of the court, and it's the same for Rolf Harris. Yeah, all of that is the Hitler Youth story. And let me just show you something. Have you heard of Austin, who makes videos with Madonna?
No, enlighten me.
It's the Spy Who Shagged Me videos.
Oh, right.
And Austin is the character.
Austin Powers.
Yeah, Austin Powers. That is just the cover for Angela Merkel's Hitler history. Angela Merkel is the daughter of Hitler Rothschild. It's absolutely stunning, but when you see the pictures, and I wish I could find, where would that one be? Let me just see what opens up on this tab, Sean.
Oh, okay, no worries.
But when, oh no, it's not the Austin one.
But how does Austin Powers link to that then?
I'm now looking at a picture in front of my camera of Angela Merkel before she was into politics. This is 1986, on an outing to the Baltic island of Rügen by members of Hitler Youth. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sitting near him is little Geli Merkel. Very few people doubt that the man who raised Merkel and is known to the world as her father was a Stasi spy and part-time organiser. Yet that is Hitler Rothschild. Yet that's Geli Raval, and that in the tree for Bush becomes Betty Grable. And that is her shins are the most attractive in the world, and all of them are giggling up their sleeve that we are launching the Shin as double agents and as political power bases on both sides of the Atlantic and all over the brutalised world, just so we can do it again and again, and then we render the banks insolvent, and we start the whole lot of the story again with all of the gold and all of the cash and the capacity to mint it in our handbags and our briefcases.
Yeah, that is crazy, isn't it? And they are planning it. Another crash is on its way.
So yeah, there's Merkel, yeah, as a Aryan blonde beauty, and she is the woman that was depicted on the photos that have now been taken down all over the world. They were all over Dundee until I started learning the lineages here. But what she does is she sits in her glorious blonde. She must only be 6 or 7 when that advert was made, and it says under her beautiful picture, pointing at the windmill blade, that's the jersey you're still wearing, and that is the windmill blades for Don Quixote and all the massive godly myths that Don Quixote hates the gods in the heavens because they give us storms and they punish us for evil behaviour. Yeah, so that is she was saying at the bottom of that poster, keep your wheels turning. And that is the grinding the bones to flour, and all of it is in the Christian Bible. Yeah, and you get deloused before you do it, and all of that is in the jokes about all the folk in the Frankfurt ghetto and all the Jews that now live in Palm Beach with Donald and all those golf players. That is the former speaker in the White House is Boner, and that is the female Piso bloodline right back to Arius Piso, who's the Father God and Jesus Christ all at the same time.
Right.
So get down on your knees and pray to do you now understand the concept that he's the man?
Right.
Yeah, on every golf course, and he's the man that they sing about. That's Barbara Dixon and the beautiful blonde. Yeah, and that is the I Know Him So Well song.
Oh right, you quite suit that.
Play that and you look at them standing on the chessboards with ABBA commenting on what they're doing. That is ABBA. Do you know what that means in the Bible?
No, go on.
Father God. So that is Arius Piso again.
Okay.
Yeah, and that is now for the British police, which is a massive syndicate picked by the Murdochs. So I've talked to the judiciary in recent weeks in the pubs, and they have proclaimed that the person who's going to take over from Joseph Gormley is Lizzie Murdoch's boardroom member, but the man that was the Gormley police leader in Police Scotland has been sacked because he's now a mental case, like many of them become when you defy the gods. It's really, really dangerous. So that's Stephen Vaughan Fry in the Blackadder comedies, and everybody that gets unhinged, it's an act of God. And incredibly, they acknowledge that in the scandal about Windrush. And that was, who was the man that made the speech that was so offensive? You know, the black man taking over?
I can't remember.
But yeah, all of that is the same. He acknowledges in that horrendous speech that the gods have the capacity to drive us mad. And I think he may have been joking. But yeah,
so people like Steve Fry and that go off the rails, you think that's the case that they've upset the gods?
Yeah, absolutely, and that is all of those Austrian nobility trees. It's page after page after page. But I've now this morning, in an attempt to archive the remaining facts, there are hundreds of Austrian noble families, and almost 75% of them, or even more, have had their hyperlinks so that we can learn their corrupted history taken down. And that is the equivalent of the book burning, which is why I've used that title on the third Austrian nobility tab on my website. Austrian nobility tab number 3 is book burning in peacetime, and that is between 2016 and 2018. All of 75% of the hyperlinks on the information of all of the Gottsheim characters and all of the characters that are even St. Boniface and the launch of false religion in Frankfurt. Germany is a massive player. I'm now looking at a picture of Pope Benedict, yeah, and all of them are in the same syndicate. Yeah, and there's Angela Dorothea Kasner became Angela Merkel with her marriage to physicist Ulrich Merkel, but the marriage ended in divorce in 1982. She was elected Chancellor of Germany shortly after Pope Ratzinger assumed the leadership of the Roman Church on Hitler's birthday. And all of that went wrong when I forced him into resignation. And I've even got the letters on my website that I wrote about his butler taking the fall. And he ran the Committee for Interreligious Studies with George Bush's children. And all of it is a Nazi syndicate, as you now know.
Yeah, and why did Ratzinger step down?
Because I revealed that he, in the Vatican, runs the Committee for Interreligious Studies, The sad bastards travel there from all these lethal families that have launched false religion, yeah, and they got 10,000 quid per visit to refine the mistakes they had made in the Piso Bible. Yeah, did you not know that? And
no, I didn't know the full reason, no.
And then they cannot stand up to it, and because I've now demonised Pope Francis, he's the first Franciscan Pope in world history. All the popes up to Benedict had been Italian, I believe.
He's a Jesuit, isn't he?
I thought they were Franciscan. The
last
lot.
Pope
Oh yeah, you're right, yeah. So Pope Francis, you saw the massive weather storms that hit the Vatican when he was appointed. All of those images have been taken down, like my video yesterday, and that is the images of God behaving badly in the face of human evil. And immediately the real Pope Francis was walking with two sticks, and I believe he's been passed on, and the very compelling videos that have now been published with thousands and thousands of hits proclaim that Pope Francis is now being played by Jonathan Pryce. And I told you that in the last video, and God bless you for remembering that he is Evita for Madonna, and she's in the fucking bloodline. Yeah, I can tell you all about her. She's from the most earthquake prone place in Italy, and it's right next to Paganonia, which did not get any quakes at all, which is why Berlusconi built the power station there, so that the gods would not dare launch another quake in, I forget what the town is, right on the spine of Italy and right next to Paganonia, which was immune from quakes. So Berlusconi made the quake prone place immune by putting a nuclear plant there.
So that
the gods, who have a huge conscience and are really gentle people, if they were allowed to be, it's just absolutely ruthless. And so, what else did I promise to tell you that I've not yet delivered on?
I'm not quite sure, I'm all over the place, but you've gone off on a bit of a tangent, but Pope Francis is one that really amazes me, because you said that Price is playing him. He's coming over to Ireland soon. I think it's quite an obvious difference in how Mr. Price looks and the Pope Francis.
You should look for the explicit video that is made, but I'll send you the hyperlink for it on Facebook.
I've actually seen it, I just don't see the connection. I don't see...
Oh, every spot and crease on his head is replayed, and they've got him young and old.
Okay.
And I mean, Prince Harry's...
Maybe that's something I've missed there then.
Prince Harry has changed his ear size since he wedded. The wedding photos have given him wingnut-like ears, as Greg Hallett used to say. Yeah, he had the tiny ears of Juan Carlos. No, sorry, of James Hewitt. And Juan Carlos's ears for William, who's the drinking mate of the billionaire at the BBC who is Lineker. Every person with the letter I behind the first letter is in the Piso syndicate. It's really sad. And I'm looking at Willie Weasel, and that is the person that demonised all of the murders of the Jews, and he is a Davos man. Yeah, and that is the videos I've made on the Sheriff bloodlines, and there they are, all sitting, and one of the Alois Sheriff, have I ever told you about Alois and the being picked for greatness?
No, go on.
So Alois Sheriff's tree has got Deckers on it. You remember the Olympian incidents?
Okay.
Yeah, it's got Zorgs on it. That's Gary Oldman in the movie. Oh, you've not seen it? It's got the Colossus of Rhodes ash pots. But Gary Oldman, who played Churchill this year, because Brian Cox does not dare do it anymore, he played Churchill just 2 years ago, since I started to release Greg Hallett's stories about the siring of the Queen and Bill Clinton. And the Ritz family and Mr. and Mrs. Mauthausen are citizens of Germania, where the sheriffs came from. And Willie Weasel was allowed to escape from Mauthausen by the Bush syndicate and go to America, and then go to Davos and attend the World Economic Forum. And there is the picture of Queen Victoria, who is the mother of 9 of those Lionel Nathan Rothschild bastards, and that is why Lionel Messi is such a prevalent footballer, and he's been brought to greatness, and all of it is as trivial as that. Just a few weeks ago they announced that Lionel Richie was going to come and sing in Pi Pi Perth, just up the road from here, and that is all the same obfuscation ploy. Yeah, it's absolutely pathetic. And Barcelona Football Club, instead of being revolutionaries, they are the biggest fascists in the world. That is, Shakira is a Mubarak. She's married to Piqué, the Formula One. Yeah. And Lionel Messi is a Perez, like Shimon and the Percy family that they descend from. Yeah, that's all the leading families, all the emperors of Austria, all the emperors of Israel, like Rothschild. Shimon Peres was the longest lived president there. Yeah, and Messi is a Perez. Yeah, on and on and on it goes. And there's a picture of Cosmo Lang, and he's the man that coronated the stammering king, and he's the Bishop of Canterbury, and he's got his businessman's top hat on. Yeah, that's the joke about the top hat and tails, and the killing of Cain and Abel in the Bible, the first killing. And there are Gabriel Anton Decker in the first family bloodline that is sheriff in Germany. Yeah, and that is Gabriel, Ant and Deck. You get it?
Yeah. That's very good, isn't it?
And that is, I've already exposed them, and they are now on rehab for mental health.
Well, one of them is, anyway.
And alcoholism, yeah. And I forget their name, but it's the same name as the actors that play Robert the Bruce, and it's absolutely massive. Everything is treason. You can't. It's so difficult to find innocent people.
So really, I mean, what do you think of the breaking news that Tom Hanks is a paedophile?
No, it's just to cover the. Oh, they're all on the same tree. He's Rockefeller material, and all of that is acknowledged in Madonna's bloodline, George Bush's bloodline, Princess Di's in the bloodline. She's actually, I don't know if their children know this, but she's the bastard of the goldsmith. Yeah, and Greg Hallett revealed that. That was the goldsmith that is eating the chunk of meat, because you've got the meat eater syndicate.
You mean the merchant of Venice?
No, Sir James Goldsmith, I think was his name. Baldy-headed character with a rosy-looking face.
Okay.
He's actually the lover of Roche Someday, that is Princess Di's mum, and she was Spencer something, but her dad was not really her dad. It was the goldsmith character. Commoner Kate's mother is a goldsmith, so all of their widowed people, the widowers, that are pining for Princess Di, the children that are Commoner Kate, they are the daughters of a goldsmith, and their mother was a bastard of a goldsmith, and she's now in the grave, because in the Shin they proclaim that every royal family across Europe have the right to assassinate their wife on their wedding night. And all the prima nocte thing is real, and it is absolutely evil. And when you see Ant and Dec, and that they've become billionaires, like two of the cocks in that bush photo that I'm looking at. Yeah, and Cosmo Lan is the person that put the crown on George VI, who was incapable of siring children that were viable. They all died on the gurney, and that's why Bose Lyon was brought in from downstairs as the maid and the whipping boy, and all of that becomes the world's most famous characters. But the real Bose Lyon escaped to Denmark, and Bose Lyon is now in the videos that I'm trying to get published. Bose Lyon is really the paternal launch of Kim Jong-il's bloodline in North Korea.
Oh, right.
Yeah, did you know that?
I didn't know that.
It
No,
will
no.
be now taken off Wikipedia. It's spelt differently, but all of it is the same Rothschild pistic. Every one of the babies, every one of the world leaders that attend the great summits that Donald is emulating at the moment. Yeah, do you get the fact that he's having summits with Wendy Deng's lover, that is Putin in Russia, and they're still demonizing the poison, yeah, with the word piezo in it. It is absolutely decrepit, but that is how it was written by the Grimm brothers. Yeah, all we need to control the world is to put actors into the place where the problems occur, and that's why there are so many fucking body doubles in the city of Dundee at the moment.
Well, this is what I was going to talk to you about. How did he get the body doubles? Are they clones? Are they people who are...
I don't have the technology to know that, but Greg Hallett, when you used to listen to him, he trained at he trained at St. Petersburg in Russia, and I believe that he went through that training. And some of his videos, he explained how when Hitler got it, it took about 7 weeks or something. But when he got it, it was all over in about 3 days. And that is incredibly, that is the Russell family that are of Bedford. And since I started to harass the Rothschilds again and ask them if I could be their employee as a domestic, yeah, they've now started sending me with every article I publish. You can how the little adverts pop up in the corner of your computer without you being able to control that. So the Rothschilds now put adverts for them, and I've made videos on Hannah Mary and her affairs estate and how I can make love to her Lionel Richie like all night long for only £220. 220, that is the numbers that mean in the Piso Bible SS.
Okay.
it's just
a naughty boy, really, aren't you?
Eh?
You're being a naughty boy then, really, aren't
Well,
you?
I'm non-compliant. Yeah, and I would love to have a little bit of S&M with her. Did you know that what was the Sartre or whatever, the person that was the legendary person for S&M in Paris in the Revolution? Sartre.
I know who you mean.
Sadist. Yeah. So he died in his bed like Donald Will.
Nice.
Unless the gods have their way, and that could be the extreme that, you know, the human race do not deserve another chance. It's just amazing how evil it has been. And when you saw the floods that occurred in my hometown, they are capable of what happened in chapter 1. And that for them is the joke that, do you know where Columbus sailed from?
Where did he sail from?
In the Mediterranean, just to the left of the Italian peninsula, near the Côte d'Azur.
Okay.
Yeah, they sailed from Genoa. That's God and Noah. Yeah, and they deserve everything they get, but that becomes the charitable fundraisers. As soon as they blew up Manchester themselves, Chris Martin, the descendant of the Piso popes, was in town the following morning raising money, and in the Grenfell Morgan banking towers They were in there raising funds the following day. And that is the Grenfell Morgan banking group that is the massive cover-up that that event ever happened. And the following week they were in Notting Hill for the Know-Nothings, raising funds for the victims, and that is for their own holidays. Yeah, and it's the same when the Maddie gets kidnapped and goes missing in Spain every now and again when they've got no other news to report. The Piso Police get to go there in their boxer shorts and to look for the victim. And when you realise that the Bolger murders in Liverpool, have I told you about that one?
You have, yes, but I don't mind you repeating it.
So that is the murder of a president in Australasia, and Rupert Murdoch knows all about that, but nobody else does. And the other murder in Australasia that is the launch of Star Trek is Norman Kirk, who, as Prime Minister of New Zealand, did not want the nuclear testing of Britain's arsenal in that place. And the arsenal video is the reason, I go on to explain that the whole of the arsenal bloodline of Egypt, that's what's in my band video, and it goes right down to the Rothschilds and Rothschilds, and then you've got no chance of getting it published. And the poor woman is just, she's a slave now, for buffoonery. She makes speeches and she cannot even speak the language that she's making the speech in. And it's just absolutely pathetic, and none of them have any dignity at all. But when you look at the bloodline for Bertie Wooster and all of his friends, guess who I found on it in an English sporting connotation yesterday?
Go on.
Mr. and Mrs. Southgate, 11 of them.
Really?
Yeah. Do you get the reason for that? And did you notice that you are playing in his team now?
Well, Harry Maguire is.
Sorry, that's flat. Oh no, sorry, my computer just flaked out there.
Well, Harry Maguire, I mean, I don't know if we're related, but obviously Maguire is a rare Maguire, so maybe we are, but he could have played for Ireland, and so could Harry Kane. He could have played for Ireland.
Yeah. So it's absolutely stunning who's on that. What were your favourite cartoon characters when you were a boy?
Me? I like the Flintstones.
Well, you're very close to that era that is in the bloodline for George Bush and Sheriff. Do you remember Officer Dibble?
Oh, Top Cat was brilliant, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that is the Vicar of Dibley is on George W. Bush's profiteering, fascist, Nazi bloodline. Yeah, that's the religious joke, like the... Yeah, it is absolutely ruthless.
It's incredible, yeah.
And Betty Grable, and all of it is the Shin joke, and that's the Shin and the planning by the world's bankers of taking over the world and creating a world in which only what the protocols that are proclaimed in the American airport is that they want to get the numbers down from, what are we at now, 9 billion?
Yeah, that's 7 billion.
So the target for the New World Order in that airport, which has the swastika,
500 million.
Yeah, 500 million. You know that story?
Well, I looked at the Georgia Guidestones about 10 years ago.
That's it, yeah. And the airport is a swastika when you look down on it. And that is all the master race. And it's just amazing. I can't remember what were the other sensational names on the family tree are, but I could find it and have a quick... let me...
There are many other buildings in the swastika layout as well, aren't there?
Yeah. So let me just reel off.
But wasn't swastika originally a good symbol? They just changed it.
It's a symbol for the world's Freemasons for 3,000 years already.
Okay.
Yeah, and that is the windmill blades for Don Quixote. Yeah, it is the Three legs for Rolf Harris. Yeah, it is the Battle of Quatre Bras. You get that one? That is the Battle of Waterloo, and in the next fortnight I think it was the Quatre Bras victory, and all of that is von Wellesley of Austria, now of Ireland, in that massive castle that we talked about. And that is the Freemasonic joke, that we are going to name all of the gods and we're going to put them in all of the stories. And what was the name of the castle that the Duke of Wellington lived in and you visited recently? It's Loki or something?
Ah, you've lost me.
Yeah, you remember we talked about you living in you visiting Ulster, and the massive castle that the Duke of Wellington lived in, it's named after Loki, which is Log, the stammering king's speech expert, and
Okay.
all the Norse myths that mean...
I was going to say it comes from Thor's brother, isn't it?
Yeah, so Thor's sister is the von Frey, and the Friars are the Norse gods of beauty and love. Yeah, and that's why Thor's hammer has now been stolen by the Austrian master race, and that is the hammer and the sickle on the Austrian flag with Kaiser Bill's two-headed eagle. Yeah, the sickle and the thingy are on the Austrian flag, and all of it is right out in the open. And they are, yeah, in World War II, all the massacres were just parties, and they killed a few Jews, and it's just amazing. Some of the stories are horrendous, and if I'm ever allowed to publish them, you'll be able to read them. Yeah,
you're able to say them on air anytime you like, Joe.
Well, have you heard of that? I've made videos in recent days on Gwyneth Paltrow and her being raped by Weinstein. Do you know what Weinstein really is? Well, it's a Tavistock-like medic who's a mind control specialist in Huntsville, and that is the owners, Jimmy Wales, of the social media, that will not allow me to publish my stuff.
Oh, okay.
And that is the Russells of Bedford. Yeah, they're immune from bombing too, and that is the running of Woburn. So now, after everything I make, the Rothschilds put their ads up. Tell me it's 220, and that is the code number for SS. But their adverts for 220 quid for a 6-hour visit have within the last week gone up to 320, and every time I make a video I send it to Wadsden Manor just to let them know it's me. Yeah, and that is now accompanied, the Rothschild ads for a 6-hour stay are now accompanied by an ad from Woburn, which is the launch of Tavistock in Devon. And you know now that Devon is St Boniface's heaven.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a godly story, and Arius Piso, the Aryan master racer, is the Father God. And that's why in Police Scotland's ratings for the weather storms, ABBA means that you're going to get a severe blizzard. Isn't it hilarious that the Piso Police that are not capable of keeping their job because they work for Murdoch on Lizzie Murdoch's boards, and the other ones get picked to obfuscate that? They have now picked a sex criminal who's been banned from work for sex criminality, and the man at the judiciary in the pub confirmed that that was their policy. They need them to have weaknesses so that they cannot become what Sean Connery was in that movie, in which Sean Connery got cut to pieces with a machine gun. What was the name of the film?
I really don't know.
The Untouchables.
Ah, right. Okay.
Yeah,
that's the American film.
That and The Usual Suspects are the giveaway for the investigations that lead me to Kaiser Wilhelm, his great-great-granny, Queen Elizabeth II, yeah, and Hannah Mary Rothschild, and their cousin, that was Adolf. Yeah, it's apt. When you listen to the Greg Hallett videos, all of them have been taken down to 10 minutes max, so that you cannot now learn the stories that Jim and the people from Denmark, Jorn, and all of these other interviewers, they were compelling interviews. And did you know that the Queen of England, yet the Bose Lions are the beginning of the Kim Jong-il dynasty that is so hated, and I believe that the actor that plays Kim Jong-il is in the Dark Horse video for Katy Perry, who has the initials KP, like Copernicus Piso. Yeah, and all of it is that the actor that is Timoshenko, I've made a video on this, and I think that one's been allowed to be released. Timoshenko was the billionaire president of Ukraine, where the Rothschilds came from, and she's now accused. She was in a straitjacket when she lost the election to a fascist. Yeah, and all of it is just made up. The real Timoshenko is a Russian billionaire who's worth, in the stories on Forbes, worth 14 billion, and he's called Gennady Timoshenko, and she's called Yulia with a J, and that is, or it might actually be a Y, and she is now she's now reading the news for Sky. And she used to have, as the president in Ukraine, one of those beautiful Versailles pie-like hairdos, but now that I've revealed the truth, she dare not wear her hair like that. It's absolutely pathetic. And I'm now looking at the Glass-Steagall incidents, yeah, that were seen through by Bill Clinton, the Queen's brother, yeah. And Hillary is on the Trump bloodline, but the Glass-Steagall incidents mean that all of the banks are totally corrupted, and that is the launch of Club Bilderberg, the Inter Alpha Group banks, the Club of Rome, J. Morgan, I forget what, I can't see the scale of all of them, Goldman Sachs, the Ing Bank. Do you get that one? Do you know what an Ing is? Go on. It's the pagan cult. Well, the most evil pop singer in world history is Sting, from Newcastle, like the Percys. Yeah, he's saying, I am Saint Ing.
He can so well, doesn't he?
Yeah, I love the music, but it's about the jealous sun god not being able to make love to women like him.
Saint Sting.
Yeah, in his jealous skies. Yeah, and he's Saint Pagan colour. And that is the pagans that worship the sun god Sol Natalis Invictus, and that for Mandela is the theme song for him. His nickname was Sol Natalis Invictus. His nickname was Invictus.
Okay.
It's just amazing, and all of them are trained at Tavistock, and that is in Devon,
Yeah.
and that is heaven. That St Boniface was from the Devon Cathedral, went to Frankfurt, cut down Thor's Oak, and underneath it they found not the bodies of the dead and burnt pagans, but the pine tree for the Alpine Master Race, and Davos, and Willie Weasel. Yeah, and all the false Jews, Hannah. Yeah, and that is Bill Clinton's Glass-Steagall, stealing of the last of the open independent banks. And when Greg Hallett was alive, he told us all that there were 6,000 places in America when it was cowboys, yeah, that could issue money and coinage, and that has now gone down. But they don't have just one federal bank in America, they have dozens. Yeah, it's a massive steal, and all of that now just goes to the political fascists that lead the country. Yeah, and Donald's totally evil, and I thought that with his simplicity that he might take the world to good, and he's still got the chance to do that. And I don't know whether or not the gods are pressurising them. But it's you see, Murdoch was pictured with Hall on the front page of one of the papers the other day, and he's now got that Dorian Gray aging syndrome. But you know, they can fake anything up that they want. There's a body double in Dundee for the Duke of Westminster, and he's called Hosey, and all of it is mixed in, all of the politicians in the place, and they're having to resign now en masse because they were head of the health board, and everyone that resigns is replaced by someone that's on my Facebook lists. Yeah, this time the new head of health in Scotland is the man that looks after my computers. Yeah, I will not tell you his name on air, but he used to be the computer expert for the big banks in Scotland.
Okay.
And if you want to do a little bit of investigative journalists, look at who the new NHS boss is in Scotland, and that is the replacement for Shona Robison, who was married to Hosey. All of them have been forced into divorce like Lineker because of my stories, and she was going to launch toxic statins for hypertension treatment, yeah, at the age of 60, which is code number for the man.
Right.
Yeah, when you understand the man and all of their jokes, it is the naming of every policeman, and that's why the Bush family carry the pistol. Yeah, and I could not believe it when I saw Southgate's names on that list just now. Yeah, and that's the Bertie Wooster Syndicate. And did I tell you that there's a school? Jesus is the baby boy that is the dragon in the Bible. There is a dragon school. Do you know who goes to the dragon school?
No, go on.
The Inky Ings. A woman called Cressida Dick, that you might be confused by, because that's not the lover of Prince Harry with the wingnut ears, but that is Cressida Dick, who now understands, because she went to the dragon school in no bombing Oxford, that there never was a Jesus Christ. And all of them learn that, and many of them are the Crown Estate employees for the Queen of England that is in the Piso Bible fake bloodline. That's the Dragon School, and the actor that played Bertie Woodhouse, I forget his name, is Aurelian. He's Jeeves and Wooster. Do you remember the comedies?
Well, I only remember that Jeeves and Wooster when Stephen Fry and...
So Stephen Fry was Jeeves. What was the name of Wooster?
Oh yeah, I know who you mean anyway. He was also with the Black Hat.
Laurel or...
Lawrie.
Lawrie, yeah.
Hugh Lawrie.
So he's in the Blackadder piss takes about the killing of every British troop and every Anzac troop all over the world that they laughed at on the opening day of the London Olympics. And it's absolutely sinister. And he's learned, with the Wooster families that are the Bush lineage and the sheriffs, that he's learned that Jesus Christ never lived. And he's learned that at the Dragon School. And the Dragon's Den has closed out of panic. And the Queen no longer does what she used to do for a laugh and profit from the puppies. Yeah? And the gods have got them all in check. Stephen Fry went to the same... Cressida Dick went to the same school as the actor that plays Wooster.
Right, Hugh Lawrie.
Yeah, it's absolutely... Look it up on Wikipedia and just run down the list and you'll see Cressida Dick, who's now head of the Met Police. She knows that Jesus never lived, and that the naming of her police is the person that was the actor that played him in world history, that was the Bishop of Rome, and that was the Father of God. And you now know that that is ABBA, and they're massive piss takes. The reason they dress like that is that in the Austrian nobility, if you're an impresario and you're prepared to be a clown like Donald, you get tax breaks.
Oh, right.
What else would you like to know? Have we got longer to go?
Listen, you can have me as long as you want. I just wanted to say, I couldn't get my head round you saying that Gwyneth Paltrow was raped by Weinstein.
Oh, sorry. So Weinstein is he's a mind control specialist in Columbia University in America, and that is all the mind control places that produce the patsies, that do the assassinations and then die because they're just zombies. You remember Kennedy? Kennedy's death?
The JFK, yeah.
Yeah, and everything that happened there. Oh, I've not told you about the Onassis family. It's quite amusing.
No, listen. We can go on for another hour, George. To be honest, so you go for it.
Does it have to be exactly enough? So
no, not at all.
So, guess what Onassis's granny's name was?
Go on.
Gethsemane.
Gethsemane.
Yeah, do you get it?
The Garden of Gethsemane.
Yeah, and it's full of oil wealth. And that's his first profession. Yeah, and then he marries the victim of, the cause of JFK's and the treason. That was the killing. Have you heard of Permindex?
Go on.
So that is the company that was run as the assassination bureau that killed Kennedy. The two bosses were the big culprits in World War II. That is the propagandist for Britain who trained Lord Haw-Haw, that is Beaverbrook, from Canada, yeah, and writing all of those stories in the Daily Express. And his accomplice was the cousin of the Queen of England, and the motherfucker that is Winston Churchill. Yeah,
Right.
and Lady Randy, I think, was his mother, and she had over 200 lovers. So Gwyneth is just the victim of being the husband of the descendant of Piso that is Christopher Martin. And I hope that this video comes out without any harm at all. That's the biggest tragedy in my life. And I'd love to make an interactive video with you where we're able to look at pictures and things and comment, because you are an excellent scholar and your memory is better than mine. And you remember how you were reeling off the nicknames for Piso that I'd already forgotten? But, so Christopher Martin, he's a massive sinner. The real Christopher Martin was the money man on the Mayflower. Yeah, and that's why they divorced when I released all that news, and Gwyneth joined me on Skype. Let me read out what she's sulking a bit, but because I'm a pharmacist, she sells vaginal douches because she knows the Piso joke. I don't think I'll be able to look at the text. So I've asked her that if you accidentally ingest the vaginal douche when you're having congress, will it be toxic and will it be dangerous to the purchaser of the goods? And she's never replied, and I can't get over that. But she joined me on Skype because she said that she admired what I was trying to do and take on the whole world single-handedly.
Yeah.
But there are a few of you still in the game, and I'm very grateful for that. And Fetzer's a very intelligent man, but sadly all of his bloodline and the names in them intertwine with Donald's.
What? Have you checked my bloodline, George?
Well, since the Hitler of I've not really had time for that, but you know, I prefer to go to the top of the tree and then cut them down.
Yes.
And it's, but getting the news